So do you have anything in particular a reason why you're here specifically for Occupy Philadelphia? I mean, for yourself personally?
For myself personally, I'm a teacher, so one of my main goals here is to see sort of more money prioritized for education. I think it's sort of a shame that some of the things that not only we as a country, but we as the city do to and with our money, as opposed to building stronger schools and protecting our future. We're sort of falling consistently every year in terms of a global ranking. Our math and science is going backwards. Kids are less literate. More kids are dropping out every year. I mean, just in Philadelphia, the numbers are kind of approaching a 40% dropout rate. And I think one of the reasons that that's happening is money keeps being cut. Teachers keep being cut. Classroom size keeps going. And money is basically being diverted from where it should go, where it doesn't necessarily need to go. So that's kind of my main issue. That's kind of one of the reasons I'm down here. I think we have enough resources, we have enough money to sort of care for things. And unfortunately, the way it's going right now, that's not happening. So.
All right, can you give me an idea, for example, tell me where you think the money is being wasted, and then maybe a specific program that it should be sent to?
I mean, realistically, we do. I think it's really ironic that right-wing corporate people suggest things about the welfare state, when in reality we sort of have a corporate welfare state. I know the city spent a lot of money to build 2 giant new sports stadiums, and they cut 20% and 12,000 teachers. I think they're building 3 new prisons. They're using $770 million to build 3 brand new prisons. And again, they cut the school budgets and they cut teachers. Classroom sizes are now approaching 40 kids. One person for 40 kids. And as a teacher, it's very difficult to reach even 10 students. 20 is kind of your max, and now they're putting double that in a classroom. I just think there's a lot of better ways to spend our money. If you build better schools, you have less of a need for prison. If you have an educated populace, they're more capable of doing better jobs. They're more capable of civic activity. I think we miss a real opportunity to build our future through schooling, through alternative and stuff like that, and through alternative education. And now they're doing stuff like charter schools and the vouchers and stuff like that. They're on the verge of essentially privatizing education, where corporations, instead of the public, is going to be responsible for not only what but how our children learn. And like I said, as we sort of fall in the rankings, as we become as we become worse at things like math and science, we fall behind in the race for the best green economy. We fall behind in biotechnology. We fall behind in information super computers and stuff like that. And those are not only financial losses, they're environmental losses, they're fiscal losses, and I think it's a shame that we do more for professional athletes than we do for students.
If I can ask you, I'm not familiar with how the city spent the money on these stadiums. I mean, can you explain that to me? Because I don't know what that's all about.
It's that was something that was going on before. It's not entirely public funds, but there are public funds donated because the city believes that obviously when a stadium is put up, there's people that need to work it. So the idea is the Eagles and the Phillies were able to convince the city to basically contribute to create tax shelters and things of that sort to allow them to build the stadiums. And that money goes to private ownership. That money isn't for public use. So we contribute, and then the profits go to a certain individual, and that seems to be monstrously unfair.
So in other words, public monies, say, for example, just to keep it simple, the city transfers money from the taxpayer to the stadiums or to these sports teams, by building a stadium, and you believe that money be better spent on education.
The idea is this: the sports teams, the sports owners, convince the city to contribute, and I don't have exact numbers, but the city contributed in meaningful ways, either with tax exemptions or through legitimate public funds, and that money went to kind of seen as a stimulus. So you tell me who's making more money, Jeffrey Lurie from the Eagles or the guy that sells beer in the 500 section? Yes, those stadiums create jobs, and yes, those jobs are really needed in our community, but the vast majority of the profits don't go back into the community. The vast majority of the profits from those programs are being given to people that exist in the upper 1%. I'm not saying that we don't need sports stadiums. I'm not saying that the city shouldn't be involved. I'm saying that if we're willing to prioritize that money for sports and for individual profit, then I think we should be. I think if we had a largesse, if we had excess in schools, if our schools were doing really well, I would be all for that. But when teachers need to use their own money to buy pencils for students, I think the fact that we're coddling and building fancy, awesome stadiums for athletes who make $10 million a year and owners who make $100, I think that's a really kind of hard argument to make.
So if there was one message today that you would like to say, maybe just a few sentences to sort of concisely put your purpose today and what you'd like to accomplish today, even if it's not possible this moment, but something that you would like to get out there to say to the world and say, hey, look, this is what I'm trying to do today.
The reason that I'm here is because I'd like to see, at the very least, people more actively engaged in deciding where their tax dollars go. I think there are a lot of people who are against the war. I think there are a lot of people who are pro-education. I think there are a lot of people who are pro the environment. And unfortunately, I think that in terms of civic involvement, people aren't necessarily as engaged as they need to be in terms of the public monies that are being used. There's no reason that our schools should be having budget cuts. There's no reason that this should be happening. If we, the people, are those that power the government, then we need to be more actively engaged. So the reason I'm here is to basically start the conversation, to encourage people to find whatever power they have, be it local, state, or federal, and to participate in the political process so that we can make sure that it's not a few people deciding where that money goes, but it's generally in the best interest of the public welfare.
All right. So, I appreciate your interview today. Thanks for your help.
Thanks for coming out.
All right.
Appreciate it.